Hey everyone, and welcome back to the review. So this video, I'm going to show you my thoughts on the 2022 NCAA Softball Regionals Day 1. So, my thoughts so far. So, if you don't know what the NCAA Softball Regionals are, basically NCAA is college sports. And then, there's 3 divisions, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. Just depends on how big of a school you are, like, how much money you get, because the more well-known you are, the more you've been around, the longer. Or if you live in a bigger area, the city and this and that, you get more money. And that's why division. And then there's divisions separate themselves. The big schools do not so bad their schools. And that's that. And then in the regionals, basically, there's 64 teams, and there's 32 conferences in the NCAA Division 1. And the winners of all 32 conference tournaments, they move on and go to the tournament. And there's 32 teams that didn't win their conference tournaments, but they get picked as an at-large. And basically, it's a lot of teams in that large field that are like well-known schools from like big time conferences. Conferences are really good at certain, sport. Like a lot of teams are good at a certain sport. They're over 500, they'll be in. Or there's some teams that are like Minnesota Gophers, they're 26 and 24, but they didn't they almost got 500, but they won one game, or they not won, but they had like tough strength of schedule. So that's how everybody getting like low records and stuff like that. And then the regionals are 4. There's top 16 teams that picked by the NCAA softball selection committee that says how good the teams are and where they get picked, that are eligible for a tournament. Those teams get divided up into 16 brackets of like 4 teams, and it's a double elimination. So day 1 you play the first game, your opening game, then you play, and then the winner's bracket game goes on. The winner's bracket championship game goes on first. So it's the 2 teams that won their first game play, and then the 2 teams that lost their first game will play in game 4 of the regional of the loser bracket, and then the losing team gets eliminated. Then game 5, it's the team that played the winner's bracket, lost in the winner's bracket championship. They play in the loser's bracket championship along with the team that won the loser's bracket opening game of the loser's bracket, and then they play, and then game 5, and then game 6 is winner's bracket champion versus loser's bracket champion. And basically, the loser's bracket team has to win 2 games in a row, while the team that won the first 2 games only has to win 1 of the next 2 games. But so I'm going to talk about who I think's going to win. So, what do I think's going to be is who I think was a surprise. Well, if you want to know a surprise, I think McNeese was the biggest surprise of the day. They put 10 runs up on Notre Dame in the first inning. They would get some chances in the other innings, but Notre Dame just threw out like all their their best arms because they had to, and they didn't want to. I mean, they could have just admitted defeat and said, "Oh, we're just gonna admit defeat," but they didn't, and they ended up getting a run back, but they ended up getting run 11-1. So that was a surprise in that one. Another surprise is there's some teams like Virginia Tech. They only won like 4-0. Their offense wasn't that impressive. Their offense wasn't that impressive. So it's a shocker, but and then there's another team in like Clemson. Clemson played UNCW, which is not really surprising that they won like 9-0. They had a run rule. Run rule was if you score 8 runs or more after 5 innings, if you're ahead by 8 runs after 5 innings, the game is over. And Virginia and Clemson did run rule. Not a shocker though. But I'm kind of Auburn, Louisiana. Louisiana was a close one. I honestly think Auburn and Louisiana can take down Clemson, and on Clemson's own home field. I honestly think they can do it, but it's gonna be tough though to do it. But I think they can both do it. And then Florida State. Florida State did not look that impressive. I mean, they did. They were playing Howard, but still they didn't look that impressive though. I feel like Florida, but the only thing is, I feel like Florida State could lose a game. Either today to South Florida, or they lose tomorrow 1 game to South Florida. I could definitely see that. And then they win the winners bracket, and then they still win the regional. Now Washington, Texas. That's gonna be an interesting game heading into day 2. Washington was struggling a little bit against Lehigh. Well, I mean Texas should have run with Weber State, but they didn't. So it's kind of a little disappointing teams, but both those teams I think were just not using their best arms. I think they were just saving their best stuff for the second game, for the Washington Texas game. So we'll see what things are interesting in that regional. And then LSU San Diego State. That game was really high scoring. That was 10-5. And San Diego State just outperformed LSU. So I'm pretty impressed with that. And I thought the winner of San Diego State LSU was going to win the region. And I think so. San Diego State looks really impressive. I thought LSU could win that game just because they have a little more probably pitching depth. San Diego State has that one really dominant pitcher. LSU has more like depth probably than San Diego State does. But I mean, if you're gonna ride a person, I mean now it's time to do it. So. But the only thing would be is if they go in the loser bracket and have to play LSU and San Diego State, do they consider throwing the same person again? Same game plan again? I don't know, so. But we'll see, though. But definitely, I could see him. The ace for San Diego State. Being dominant again. And then, because today, she's going to have to go all 7 innings. Yesterday, she didn't. So, and obviously, they had a big enough lead where they could take her out. And defense, and they held, so. And, yeah. And then, that's really about it. I mean, there's really no. In the Alabama region, Alabama kind of got no hit for a while. And they didn't even run road Chattanooga. So, they won like 3s up against Chattanooga. Which is kind of. Which is kind of, yeah. Doesn't look that great, but we'll see, though. If Alabama can win the region or they get upset. I do remember, I think it was last year, they had to go to game 7. So I could definitely see teams have to go to game 7s. Alabama. I don't know how many game 7s we're going to see, though. But I can almost guarantee a few game 7s. I could definitely see game 7 in the Clemson region. When Clemson plays Auburn or Louisiana. If Clemson loses today, or even if Clemson doesn't even make it the regional final, it's Auburn, Louisiana. I could definitely see Auburn. Them splitting game 1, first, and then the second game, game 6. In game 2 they play in the regionals, they might play, and they'll split, and then I'll have to go to Game 7, winner take all, and split them. I could definitely see that. Or even if Clemson plays Alabama, I could definitely see a Game 7 in that scenario too. Florida State, I could definitely see Florida State going to Game 7 if they play South Florida. Like today, they play South Florida, which is going to be interesting. South Florida is a really good team, and they got Georgina Cork, a really good pitcher. And they didn't win that many. They only won 4-0 today, but they look impressive. Their defense did and stuff like that. So, the Seattle regional, I could definitely see going to Game 7. Washington, I mean, looks good, but they're not like impressive. Nothing like impressive. Like they're not like super impressive. I mean, I know why they're here, but they just don't look that impressive after day 1. Like they don't in Texas. I mean, they should have run like Weber State. I mean, they really should have, unless they weren't saving their best stuff. It looks like Washington was kind of had to use their best stuff, and that kind of is like day 1, you should not have to use your best arm, your best pitcher. You shouldn't. If you're one of these top teams, you shouldn't. But we'll see though. If these teams end up, we'll see though. Honestly, but I see Washington, Texas. Honestly, in the regional final. Yeah, I could see that going. I can definitely see that regional going to Game 7. Where they split today's game. And then, because the other 2 teams in the regional, Lehigh and Weber State, don't look that impressive, honestly. So, I can definitely see Washington, Texas going to Game 7, having to play 3 games, having to play Game 3 today, and having to play Game 6, the regional final, and Game 7, if necessary, regional final. And yes, the Arizona State regional, I could definitely see that going to Game 7. I have LSU winning that regional, my bracket. I mean, DNSub.com bracket challenge. But I honestly think San Diego State and LSU, I could definitely see it. That regional going to Game 7. I mean, I don't think. Maybe ASU loses Game 1. Maybe ASU loses a game today, but to San Diego State. But I just don't see them losing I just don't see them losing 2 in a row, if you know what I mean. Because they'd have to play LSU then, if they were to lose. And LSU would have to play a doubleheader back-to-back games with like a 30-minute rest break, 30-minute sanctioned rest break. Especially for the other team, nuclear dugout that LSU played too. So I don't know. So we'll see though. On that front, and yeah, I don't know who else is. I mean, most of it looked pretty chalk and it looked pretty deep, So, but we'll see though. I mean, there could be some stunners in the regional final opponents. Who gets like the runner up, but so I don't know. But there's gonna be some shockers after day 2. I can almost bet. Day 1 there's a few shockers, but not really a whole lot. But day 2 today, there's definitely gonna be some shockers in like the winners bracket, and who's on the regional final. There's definitely gonna be some shockers there. So I'm gonna talk about them tomorrow. once the games are done. So, until next time, take care. I don't want to make this too long, but about the shockers and surprises of day one. So, but I'll definitely share with you the shockers and surprises of day two, which I bet there's going to be some. There's definitely going to be some. Especially with 3 games each regional. Makes it 40 games total. Definitely got some shockers, I don't think you're going to have any shockers in, the game 4s. Today. I don't think you will. But, because the game 4s are just going to be, the 4 seeds probably all losing. A lot of them are going to be the 4 seeds all losing. Probably most of them are. And then, game 5, I could see game 3, you're going to have the shocker, which is the winner's bracket final. And the loser bracket final is going to be game 5. So I could definitely see shockers in games 3 and 5. Game 4 of the regionals, I just don't see any. So, so, until next time, take care.